Dr. Marta Pizzetti, and Dr. Verena Gruber. Okay. As you prefer, but I think I need to give you these. So, Verena and Marta, you worked on consumers. So tell us what we need to know about consumers.
Well, so finally we get to the consumer part. Marta and I, as many of you have asked the question, what are consumers' perceptions and attitudes regarding products that are made in the Alps and that come from sustainable textile value chains? And in order to research this question, we have conducted a variety of different studies using different methodological approaches across several Alpine countries in multiple languages, including more than 1,500 participants. And I'm going to start out a little bit with the qualitative part, so the in-depth interviews that have been conducted in collaboration with the Alps Youth Council. In these in-depth interviews, the idea was to understand what are the associations, what do consumers think of when they think of products made in the Alps. And I've taken here part of the exhibition that you also hopefully have seen already, but can look at in more detail later. What we've seen is that there is an abundance of associations that consumers have. They have very strong sensual experiences related to the colors of the Alps, related to the images, the nature, the sound, the perfumes of the Alps. And the image that they have in general is very positive. It is a romantic image, it is an attractive image, and it is linked to a pristine nature. So overall, the image is very positive. However, there is also, we've also asked consumers about the kind of products that they associate with, and here we find that it's in particular agri-food products, so cheese, herbs, honey, for example, and textile products is not really something that consumers think of when they're asked about products made in the Alps. We also find that consumers consider products made in the Alps to be more expensive. They're also associated with a different kind of cost structure and also with different kind of production methods. Well, so textiles are hardly mentioned. We wanted to move on a little bit, and at this point it's important that we mention, we acknowledge the TRIC project and our colleagues from the St. Anna School of Advanced Management Studies who have generously shared their data set with us. They've done a representative survey in several countries, and we have been looking here specifically at several of the items for the Alpine region. So what you see here, and thanks also to our colleagues from FAO for this wonderful map, the question, to what extent are you aware about of the environmental issues related to the clothing sector? And as you can see on that color scheme, the agreement to this question is very high. So a lot of the consumers say that, yes, we are aware of the environmental issues. And in another question, they've also been asked to what extent they buy locally produced clothing, nationally produced clothing. And here to a lesser extent, but still quite some agreement with the question, agreement with the fact that they do buy locally produced clothing. So this is what they say in a survey. However, this is not always the reality.
So thank you very much, Verena. So as Verena said, the picture of these two maps is quite positive. So it seems that consumers are aware of the impact, the environmental impact of textile production. They seem to be eager to buy locally, so in a sustainable way. But unfortunately, we know that quite often consumers do not really do what they claim, as we do in our regular life, right? Sometimes we say we want to do something and then we behave in a different way. The same for consumer, and in this case, in academia, we call it the attitude behavior gap, which seems to be especially relevant for sustainable consumption. So when we were approaching this project, Diego, Miriam, Verena, and I, we started thinking about, so how can we help Alpine producers in make their product appealing, in making sure that consumers will buy them? And we decided to run some studies to understand which are the features that could be mostly appreciated by consumers of alpine products. We conducted 9 studies, experiments. I don't want to do a lecture with you about what are experimental designs. Many of the project partners, they had multiple lectures so far, so but anyway, so what does it mean? We were basically trying to understand how certain features, certain characteristics of alpine products can have influenced the behavior and the appreciation of consumers of alpine products. So basically, the idea was to isolate certain features and to assess their influence on consumers' reactions. So we started with a characteristic that we have seen before with Alessandro and Giancarlo, the made in. We ask ourselves, but does the made in the Alps matters to consumers? And if yes, to what extent? What we found is that consumers do like the idea of buying something that is made in the Alps. If you look at their evaluation, it's quite good. They give them an average score of almost 5 out of 7, with 7 meaning that they highly appreciate alpine products. But unfortunately, this average is not that different, that higher compared to the appreciation that they reveal for other kind of products made on other mountain chains. On the other side, we found that the idea of a product that is made in the Alps generates certain perception. And specifically, consumers think that alpine products are made with passion and love. What we say, they are imbued by love. So they recognize that producing something in the Alps is not easy. It requires a certain amount of passion and love. So this on the good side, it's a good news. Not working anymore? Oh, too much. The other element that we were considering is the source of certain materials. And we focused on native products, and specifically on native fibers. Here you see an image, I hope is the right one, of the merino d'Arles sheep that no. Put a lot of efforts in finding a good one, but apparently we have experts here. Now we are all knowledgeable about merino d'Arles wool. I did my best, I'm sorry, Diego. And we ask consumers what they think about products made with native, with wool from native sheep breed. Unfortunately, what we realize is that consumers are not really aware of these products. They don't know it. But when they are exposed, when they are familiarized with this kind of material, they like it to a certain extent more than non-native wool. But what is more important is that the presence of this kind of materials improves certain perceptions. So products that are made with native wool are perceived as more authentic, they are perceived as more prestigious, and also the company that produces products with this kind of material is perceived as more sustainable. Then we tried to analyze how production impacts consumers' responses. And the first thing that we found, which was also inspired by our qualitative interviews, is that what consumers specifically like is the idea that alpine products are handmade. When an alpine product is handmade, it is very much appreciated by consumers. They like the alpine production, the alpine handmade production. They even more recognize that passion and love of producing an alpine product. And they like it the 12% more than products that are machine-made. Last but not least, we also analyze the circularity of products. And specifically, we focused on upcycled wool, as the example we have seen before in the video. So with upcycled wool, we were testing how consumers react to wool that is saved from waste. Instead of being burned, is used to produce clothes and recycled products. Now, consumers seems to be interested in circular products, but at the same time, what our colleagues say about circular product is that they are often perceived as risky. They are seen as something that consumers they don't really know what to think about, and they can be dirty, even contagious. So we ask ourselves what happens with wool, what happens with upcycled or recycled wool that is produced in the Alps, that is manufactured in the Alps. We found that, first of all, circular products are equally appreciated than products with pure new wool. So this is already a good news. But most importantly is that consumers perceived upcycled or recycled wool of products made in the Alps as less risky and 10% cleaner and purer. And that, in our opinion, that could facilitate the purchase of this product. So what? To conclude our presentation, what we understood from our studies is that consumers are aware of alpine products, not really of textile alpine products, much more related to food. So we need somehow to build an image of this product and to communicate, to generate awareness of consumers, especially for what concerns native materials. Moreover, what is really important for consumers is the perceived authenticity of products. Our studies suggest that they can perceive the authenticity, the higher the authenticity, the higher consumers' willingness to buy alpine products. So this is really something that we should communicate and emphasize to consumers. And last but not least, circular production. It seems very well accepted by consumers when it's done in the Alps, but we need to do more. We need to increase consumers' purchase intention, and so we need help from policymakers also on how to enhance consumers' intention to buy circular products. That's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.